Hello and welcome, all you beautiful souls. Welcome to Truth Talk. I am Sherry, and what we're doing today, Truth Talk, is all about just letting the cards tell us what needs to be looked at this time. Let's keep it simple. Mask can be anything. And we wear different masks, even at different times throughout the day. Or throughout life. A mask can be many different things, but it usually has to do with how we cope or how we react to something, and there's always something that drives our behavior. So it really is just a behavior, a coping mechanism, something like that, or a way of acting based on something it's learned behavior that we have learned, and it usually stems around us needing to protect ourselves in some way, or because, mostly because we need to defend. We feel like we need to defend or protect ourselves in some way. It usually is a lot of times can be stemming from some kind of fear. It doesn't always have to be, but you'll understand once we jump into the reading. So I want to go ahead at this time really quickly. I do have a book that's called We Are Not What We've Been Taught, that if you want to delve deeper into the work of unraveling your own masks and just to identify them. And the book when we're looking at our masks are not good or bad. They're just the way we've learned to do things. And so what my book allows you to do is ask the questions of yourself to understand how you behave in the world, so that you can evaluate those behaviors or those learned actions or ways of reacting to certain things, so that you can evaluate them and decide for yourself whether they are serving you or not serving you. Because sometimes we take on things as a child that are not serving us as an adult, because it's just learned ways we've learned how to cope with certain situations. Because when we were a child, we didn't have the knowledge and the wisdom that we do as adults. So in those moments when we were children, we learned to deal with certain situations in certain ways, and maybe as adults it's not serving us, or it may be in some way limiting us and keeping us from reaching our full potential, or being the person, or being our true authentic self with those around us. So let's go ahead and dive into the reading. So I do 6 positions here with this reading, or to uncover these masks each day. I also have a community post that I post with each reading that explains a little bit about the reading, like just the synopsis of, kind of what the mask is, and gives you a reflection question. It helps you to decide whether you want to dive a little bit deeper into that mask or not. So what we have here to start with, this is the mask position. This is why we're here, basically. So why we're here, the Two of Swords. I found it interesting. Usually the Two of Swords is somebody having 2 swords crossed in front of them. And in this deck, she has put them together almost like a lightsaber or a staff, and she's got it in front of herself. So and this is a scene at night. So we're talking about, things in the dark, shadows, our shadow self. We always have light and dark within us. We all do. We all have, like positive and what could be conceived as negative traits. But really what it is, when we talk about the shadow self, it really is these like ways of behavior when something happens that we're uncomfortable with, the way we react out of, like when something happens and we're like fear, like if we're afraid of something, maybe we're afraid of being ourself, our true self, or it's those coping mechanisms. So with this being at night, it really is telling me that and being the Two of Swords is all about something we're not seeing usually, or it's usually something we're not wanting to see. It could be, we're in a state of denial about something. But, and she does at least have the blindfold on in this card. So there is something she's not seeing, but instead of having like the rejection to it, she's just kind of on the defensive about it, you know, because like I said, typically the Two of Swords, the swords are crossed, and it's not in this image right here. So where, you know, before it would be like we would be blocking it out and completely denying it, I feel like, and it makes sense since you're at this reading and probably the title drew you in, you know, that means that you're not completely in denial about whatever is going on here. You do have a sense of what's going on. You know, it's just that maybe you don't understand the full picture, or and that's why you're here, because you're wanting to understand more about what's going on at the moment. So let's go ahead. I think I'm going to use to clarify the wild, Wisdom of the Wild Things Oracle. So we have bravely go. We have this goblin and it says bravely go. So it almost tells me that there might be something that you're afraid to look at or afraid to make a decision about in your life right now. I kind of feel like, let's go ahead. I think I'm going to use another tarot deck. I think I want to get one more card. Can you clarify this bravely go? What are we afraid to do here? What are we afraid to do? So we have justice. We have justice. Give me one more card on that justice. Because even still, I'm getting the Six of Wands. So stand up for our, well, no, that would be Six of Wands. It's almost feeling like we're afraid of interesting. We're afraid of something happening. We're afraid of getting what we deserve. We're afraid to do something. Okay, so I've got this bravely go that's clarified the justice and the Six of Wands. It's telling me that we might be afraid that we might get what we want. So justice is all about, you know, the tables being balanced, you know, something being balanced out in our favor, something, you know, where things have been uneven. This is the evening of the scales, or, you know, us getting justice, or getting, you know, where we have been shortchanged in the past. It is telling us, you know, justice coming out is telling us, well, now things are going to balance out for us. And with this bravely go, I feel like, you know, let's go ahead and I mean, I'm getting it, but I don't know. And see, maybe this is, I usually don't have this kind of wishy-washy confidence. So it's really telling me there might be that you don't have confidence around something at this time. Something might be like where you're a little bit afraid of getting what you want is what keeps coming up. Remember the adage, speak softly and carry a big stick. If you've never heard it, basically it means it's time to move forward bravely while carrying your awareness and discernment like weapons. Isn't that interesting? Because this is clarifying this Two of Swords that is a big stick, looks like a big stick, it looks like a staff, a weapon. So it says to move forward, even though you may not, you know, to use your awareness and discernment, because maybe you don't see everything at this time, or a little bit, there's this fear that's kind of driving this a little bit. This is the moment to get up and move toward the path that you're being called to, even if it's dark and scary. Like I said, this is perfectly describing what I was talking about in this card. So yeah, and like I said, I felt, you know, like I typically don't question myself or question what's coming out, and I did. And for that to happen, that tells me that that is part of the message. That's part of the message here, is there's this kind of a little bit of lack of confidence in getting something, or that the actions you're going to take are going to pay off in the end for you. So the only way to cure inertia is to move. So put your brave boots on and get busy. There's something in your life that scares and excites you at the same time. So there's the thing. And there's the two of swords, the two things that are represented by those two swords. So it scares you, but it excites you at the same time. And I feel like the fear is a fear of afraid of getting it, which is why the excitement is there too, because it's something that you want, but you're afraid of getting it. So, because it's, let's see, scares you at the same time, it's almost always the best thing ever. You get a chance to prove yourself that you're bigger than your fear, while also showing yourself that you're worth every inspirational and thrilling experience you can dream of. So do it. I love that, actually. So this is really about confidence and self-esteem. It's a feeling of unworthiness that's coming out in a sense. So there's things that these masks, or the ways these behaviors are coming up as a result of not believing that you can have something that you want to have, which speaks to feeling like you're not worthy of it. And so you really have to overcome this fear of that you're not worth whatever it is, because this is saying, the universe is kind of saying that you are, with this, the Six of Wands is victory. So it's getting victory and justice. But in order to get that victory and justice and get what you deserve, it's saying with this Go Bravely card that you're going to have to conquer your fears, and you're going to have to, basically prove that you're worth, that you deserve this. And it's proving it to yourself that you deserve this, whatever this is, and it's probably going to be different for different people. But I mean, we might uncover a little bit more in the reading as we go. So in the second position, our second position that I look at is the mirror. So this is what is external that is influencing us at this time. We have the Ten of Wands in this position. The Ten of Wands is all about carrying this very heavy burden on our back, or something that is weighing us down. So there might be something, and I really feel with what came out in this mass position that we're talking about today, it really tells me that maybe what we're carrying is this burden, like throughout our life, of unworthiness, or feeling like we don't deserve things in our lives. And so this has been a heavy burden because we haven't gotten the things in our life that we deserve, or we feel like we deserve, or we want to deserve, but we've talked ourselves out of them in some way. We feel because of that, that feeling like we don't deserve these things. But this is at a very deep level. So if this is you, or if this is resonating, please don't beat yourself up, because this is just coming up for something for you to understand that maybe you have sold yourself short. Maybe there are places where, your life, you could have done better, or you could have had something more, but you've talked yourself out of it, or because you've been afraid of having what you want in life. And so it's the fear of success in a way. I really feel that's what it boils down to, because we have this Six of Wands. So it's feeling like, having a fear of success and what comes with it. When I get what I want, what then, kind of thing. And so that weighs you down. And so you might keep yourself small. And I know we had yesterday, the reading was called Keeping Yourself Small, but this is a different facet of kind of these core beliefs. There's only like a handful of things that drive us to create these masks, or act in certain ways, and a lot of that stems from usually not feeling loved, or not feeling like we belong, or feeling unworthy or not deserving of something. It's just a handful of things, but there's different facets of it, because this enacts into the world, or your reaction to it is different, or for different people in different ways. So we react differently. So with this being the Ten of Wands, as I said, I really feel like this is the burden that we're carrying is the fact that we know that we want this justice for ourselves. We want this success. There's something, especially when we talked about that Go Bravely card, we literally talked, it said about it scares you and excites you at the same time. So there's something right now that's really important to you that you really, really want, but you're afraid to go after it. You're afraid of that, and it could be tied in a little bit with a fear of failure. It's either a fear of failure or a fear of success. It could be either or it could be a little bit of both. And that's something that I don't know if we'll uncover that for you in this reading, but it really does, I feel like that's kind of getting at the crux of things. So if it doesn't uncover for you in this reading or in my community post that I do to kind of do a quick synopsis of what is being covered here, then, it does help you in a direction. At least you're aware of what might be stopping you or hindering you at this time so that you can make a different choice than you maybe would have before, which that in all of itself will make your life change, because now you know that fear is there, and so you can overcome it or help you overcome it. So we have on this mind that monkey, which this is the monkey mind. So yeah, I really feel like this is an internal struggle and battle within us. If this is resonating for you, this is something that you're battling internally. Even though this is coming out in the external, I think, that's what it's showing us, is that maybe we have these burdens in life. Maybe we're, not living in the best conditions, or we're not, because we're not feeling like we're living the life we want. And usually, that comes down to as a result of whatever we feel internally, that actually, our life will show us that. I'm saying this terribly. So whatever we feel inside, that drives the way we do things in the world. And the way we do things in the world is a reflection of what we have in our life. Okay, so the culmination of what we've manifested in our life, because we manifest both good and bad things. Our external world is it's exactly a picture of what our internal world is. So if you want to know, what is going on inside of you, look outside of you. If you're not living the life, now I'm saying not everybody, has the ability to, change. Okay, it is harder. Everybody can change. It's whether you have how do I want to say this? Whether you want to or not. And there are a lot of people that choose not to grow. If you're here, that's not the case. You wouldn't be here. I have to look at. I have bread in the oven. I'm making apple cinnamon walnut bread, so I have to kind of make sure I don't. I don't miss taking that out of the oven. So it smells so wonderful in here right now. So we have to be cognizant, or this is a good test, a litmus test of helping you learn how to manifest. If you don't know how to manifest, this is a way to help you learn how to do that, is look at your external world, and if there's something that you don't like about it, if you're living in a certain place, or you have a certain job that you don't like, or if you have a partner that's really driving you up a wall, it's like that is the world, your external world being reflected back to you to drive you to make a change in some way. Now that change can be many different things. It can be, as simple as just changing your belief or your perception about the situation. And just that small little change can make a huge difference of how you look at something, and reframing it in a different way. Reframing is a huge thing. I mean, that's what a lot of therapists do. If you go to therapy, that's one of the big things that they will do, is they will help you reframe something in a way where maybe you're seeing it as a negative, where they'll reframe it where it's a positive, so that your nervous system can be better equipped to handle whatever it is, especially when it comes to a fear. So it really is about reframing things, and I really feel like that might be what needs to happen here. So let's go ahead and keep going here. We have in the third position is the flame. The flame position is what is internal, is driving like the whole point, like what's coming up for you at this time internally, that's the driving factor, but driving this wanting to change, or wanting to look at this mask, or wanting to look at this behavior at this time. And with it being the Two of Cups like this, one, I think for some of you, especially when we talk about that Go Bravely card, and it's talking about something that scares you and excites you at the same time, it could be getting into a relationship. Maybe there is somebody that you're really desiring at this time, but you're scared of, the outcomes. A lot of times, oh man, there's so many people out there, and even I am guilty of sabotaging relationships at times that I really want. When I really want something, the fears can get the best of me. And I feel like this is it for some of you, but the Two of Cups doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. It is partnering with something. It's kind of like a commitment to something, like working with a certain energy. You think of partnerships, it's two different people coming together to create one different energy. So your energy and their energy is combining to create a third energy at play. And this is what we talk about a lot of times when we see like the Three of Cups, when somebody says a third party, and the third party can be anything. Well, that third party, what it is that third energy. And that energy can be anything. It could be the energy between you and the other person, or you and the other thing. It's the result of what's created in that mix when two energies come together. And so I feel like, maybe there's some difficulties about you coming together with something that's bringing up some fears at this time. And that could be a job you could be excited about. It could be a person. It could be, maybe you could be getting ready to move and you're excited about the move, but it's also scary. Maybe you're getting ready to go to school, or go back to school, to college, to get in some kind of education. That can be scary, but also exciting at the same time. So that's what we want to look at. If you're wanting to know what's bringing you here, there's something, and you're going to know what that is for you, that there's a decision, a choice that you need to make at this time that is scary, that there's something you're getting ready to do that's scary and exciting at the same time. It's something you really desire, but there's a fear there. And sometimes that fear can talk us out of doing something that we want for ourselves. Sometimes that fear can keep us from the success and justice that we want for ourselves. And when we look back at our patterns, and if you look back as a result of this reading, kind of think about back through your life and the different decisions you've made, where have you, talked yourself out of doing something that in hindsight, you really felt bad that you didn't, you had regrets about not making that decision or making that choice. If you have regrets about something that you didn't do, this is a big indicator that you might be self-sabotaging yourself, that you might be carrying this is regrets. All that bag of wands, the 10 of wands, what's heavy it might be for many of you out there, because it just came up, regrets of things that you wish you would have done, but you didn't do or didn't act on, or you sabotaged in some way, and that you missed out on it because of this heavy regret, like this regret energy, or the fact of fear of success or fear of failure, whatever that stemmed from. And it's going to be personal for either, for different people out there. So in the fourth position we have is our boundary position. We have the Lovers. Okay, the Lovers is all about a choice. It's in the past it wasn't called the Lovers card. It was called the Choice. And so this really is making a decision. That's the heart, of this. And so with this coming into the boundaries position, what it's telling me is boundaries is what is maybe draining us at this time, what is also maybe distracting us at this time. It's what we need to kind of put our foot down and say no to. And I feel like with this being a choice, it's that indecision or maybe that fear of doing something. So what we need to say no to is overcoming that fear, whatever that fear is for you, a fear of success, a fear of failure, the fear that is maybe making you question whether you need to do whatever it is you need to do at this time. So let's go ahead and I'll get a clarification on this one. Can you give me a clarification on this Lovers' choice? But I also like, and I didn't see this before, just be yourself. It's just, it's like, I feel like with this be yourself card, it's confidence. It's really like this, I don't know, I should have showed you, be yourself. So it really is, when we're talking about being ourselves, it's really standing in our truth and being our authentic self. So when we're talking about a choice that we need to make, it's definitely reinforcing that fact of, being confident in yourself. It's a confidence. And even the Six of Wands can be a card of confidence and having confidence to do something. So all this reading is leading to is there's this need to have confidence around the decision that you need to make, what you are trying to do, and to believe in yourself that you can have this, or believe you're worthy of having this in your life. Okay. And this could be a relationship. I mean, I'm not going to doubt it with the Two of Cups and the Lovers coming out. That definitely could be, because that can be both exciting and scary at the same time. And definitely, as I said, there's a lot of people out there, to include me, that can be guilty of sabotaging relationships. I had a relationship recently that really uncovered a lot of the ways I sabotage relationships, because it was something I really wanted. In other relationships, that I had, it was different dynamics, and I didn't have that. Some of those triggers and fears and shadows within me didn't come up in those relationships. And sometimes when we're challenged, when we get in a relationship with someone that challenges us in that way and really brings up our shadow self in some way, that's coming up for us to look at. And a lot of times we dismiss that, or we run from it, or we avoid it. That's where we get those those insecure attachment styles where, you might be anxious or avoidant or whatever. Those come up as a result of our, being triggered in some way, our shadow aspects of, someone being someone that can reflect backward, that something we want so badly that it brings up these things for us to look at, and they're coming up for us to overcome them. And a lot of times we'll run from them instead of face them. So we're not facing our fears in that sense. Whenever we're afraid of something, we have to look it in the face, and we have to overcome it. So what I had said earlier, I saw those two apples up there. So they're, the apple, if you think about, even like the story of Adam and Eve, it's like knowledge, it's wisdom, it's knowing better so that you can do better. And so I feel like, like I said, with that being in the boundary position, it's really about saying no to our fear and having the confidence to overcome that. So with the next position we have is the wave position. We have the King of Wands here in the wave position. The wave position is about the emotional truth that we need to feel at this time, which is, with it being the King of Wands, is really fascinating. I had to kind of think about this for a minute when I saw this come out, but this is all about our pride and ego, and what happens whenever we're kind of triggered by something, or when our shadow self rears its head, when we're afraid of something. Usually we get, usually react. And what do we react? We usually react with our pride and ego in some way because we want to defend ourselves. And so there's this need, like right now, if there's something, it's facing your own ego, your own id, so to speak. And what stories are you telling yourself? So where are you getting in your way? Because what happens when we get stuck in our pride and ego, or if we're stubborn around something? It's usually hindering our growth. So with this being in the wave position and the motion needing to be felt, it's telling me that, maybe pride and ego is getting in the way in a little bit, or stubbornness might be getting in the way. But those are just a result of protection mechanisms, or ways you're protecting yourself to keep you from doing something, because you're protecting yourself from that, whatever you're afraid of, whether that be afraid of, fear of failure or fear of success. It's like, you start talking yourself out of it. A good example of this is like if you say, I didn't need that anyway, so you start justifying, your ego, your mind starts justifying to yourself that you don't need that in your life, or you don't want that in your life, or, oh, this would be a bad idea. And you start talking yourself out of something. And so that's what I feel like what is going on here is like with this position is that we might be trying to talk ourselves out of something at this time. So, can you give me any clarification on what we might be, how or what we might be talking ourselves out of at this time? How or what we might talk ourselves. So for a lot of you, it is going to be a relationship. We have love. So maybe there is somebody that you really do like a lot, that you want to go to the next level with, or that you want in your life, but you're afraid of blowing it in some way, or afraid of failure. Maybe you've been in other relationships in the past. I mean, this isn't going to be for everybody, but with love coming up here, it's probably predominantly for folks coming to the reading. So there's something here that is kind of coming up around this relationship that maybe you're talking yourself out of it. Maybe you've had failed relationships in the past, and so you're afraid of that of another relationship failing, and that's commonplace. I mean, we all do that. But again, it comes down to you have to have enough confidence in yourself and believe in yourself enough to know that you can overcome those fears, that you have the ability and the confidence in yourself to know you can overcome any challenges that come up in that situation. And sometimes that can be really hard because it is about facing your shadow self, facing those fears. We have to overcome it and go bravely. It goes back to that go bravely card. We have to overcome that. And that can be a really challenging, daunting, hard thing at times. What else? Give me one more card. What is this? Necropolis. The Necropolis. I don't know what this represents in this. I don't have a book for this deck. I think it's online. So, but I have it. I think I have it downloaded at some point, but I don't have access to it easily right now. So with Necropolis, when I think about Necropolis, I'm thinking about like, in a sense, like The Walking Dead or undead. So, or an undead city, so to speak. It's like the dead coming back to life. So maybe for some of you, with this clarifying the King of Wands, maybe you've kept yourself, and when I think about zombies or undead, it's somebody that's not like, this could be for some of you that you might have, in certain situations, may tend to be avoidant of certain things. Or I feel like with this being in the feeling positions, it's about maybe not wanting to feel something. Because when I think about zombies and I think about undead or an undead city or ghosts even, they can't feel. They don't have the capability or ability to feel because they can't process things the way we can with our, because they're dead. They're not, they don't have the synapses is firing in their brain that can make them feel a certain way. So I feel like with this Necropolis card, it's talking about for some of you, that maybe sometimes it's easier just not to feel things, but with that not, or not acknowledging your feelings or trying to deny your feelings in a certain way, that can, because that, when we do that, sometimes we're avoiding making a choice. So it's another way that this can manifest out into, this fear can manifest, especially when it comes to a relationship. A relationship's all about feelings. It's all about emotions. And so if we're denying those feelings and we're denying those emotions through the King of Wands, through our pride and ego or stubbornness, because we don't want to feel them because we're afraid of feeling them, because feeling them will mean something. And then we have to make a decision. Well, then when we make that decision, what does that mean for us? So, but it comes back to, of really wanting something for yourself, but being afraid to go after it and afraid of getting it. Because what that means, because it will change your life in some way. So there might be a fear around that change too. I mean, see how this can, do you see how these masks all tie in? Like they kind of roll in and out. And that's what you'll find with these readings, is that when I do these readings, they're going to be very similar. There's going to be the same themes that are going to kind of come up, but they're going to come up in a slightly different way. There's going to be a different driving factor or a different main story. And that's why I've decided, I created the spread that I do for these, because it helps helps us understand, like maybe at this time, what's coming up for us or how we're navigating a certain thing, because, we do have different people have different ways of handling things. So in the final position, I have to check my time again. Oh yeah, I'm getting close on my bread. I've only got about 10 minutes and hopefully we're done. We're on the last position, so hopefully we'll be done by then. So I gave myself an hour, so I was hoping I would be done in an hour. So we have the Three of Wands coming out here. This Three of Wands has been coming up in the last several readings, but in different positions. It's kind of made its way down the board, and now we have it in the permission position, which is our last position. This is what we need to say yes to, and this is new horizons. This is going forward, moving forward, going after the things that we want, creating our own destiny, but knowing that we have to take our hands off the wheel and we have to go with the flow. You think about, somebody on a ship, they're going with the waves, they're going with the current, especially this being possibly a sailboat with the sail there, and it's like letting the winds take you where it goes. So it's going with the current, going with the flow, letting the universe steer the wheel, and the wheel of fortune, because the wheel here is, especially with it being front and center, is the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot deck is all about change. It's about something changing or a change that needs to take place. And I like that this is front and center here, because it's saying that there's, even though there might be something changing, it's taking our hands off the wheel, not getting in our own way, and letting the wind and the waves carry us to the destination of where we're going, and wherever that may be. And not letting fear get in the way, because when fear gets in the way, that's when we grab onto that wheel for dear life, and we will try and control a situation. And it's through that control that a lot of times that we limit ourselves and talk ourselves out of things, because we're afraid, and that fear bubbles to its head. If you feel the need to control anything in your life, any areas of control where you're trying to control something is usually based in a fear that needs to be looked at. It's something that's limiting you in some way. Now, I don't know why, but 3 cards fell out of the deck. So we're going to go through each one of them really quickly. We have 39, remember who you are. Remember who you are. We have 36, remember the world. Oh, no, sorry, the wooby. Remember the wooby. And the wooby is all about our, kind of like our security blanket. So this is all about protection, or being, needing to feel comfortable about something. So again, it's kind of that fear of being afraid of something that isn't comfortable for us. And then quiet the anxiety monster, which doesn't surprise me with what I was saying, when we had this monkey mind. So, and possibly having a lot of regrets. So you could be someone, definitely, with the back and forth, with the choice needing here, you could be someone that goes back and forth in your head, and you're fighting it in your own internal world of, I really want this, but I want to go after it because I know I'll regret it if I don't go after it. But then at the same time, I don't know. That's, I have these fears around it because I failed in the past, scared, there might be a little bit of fear of rejection or fear of failure that's coming forward for you. And whenever we have that, when we really want something, but we really fear it at the same time, and that goes back to that Go Bravely card and what it said about, this is something that scares you and excites you at the same time, then it's this battle of what's going to win out. Is the fear going to win out, or is the desire going to win out, something that you really want? Are you going to overcome that fear and, get the justice and get the victory, for something, and get that thing that you want, even though it's scary, even though it scares you but excites you? Are you going to allow yourself to be confident enough to bravely go forward and make that choice? Or are you going to sit here and, when we are stuck in that, where we want something but we're afraid of it at the same time, that can come out as not making a choice, where we might be wishy-washy around something, where especially if it's a relationship dynamic, this can come up as inconsistency in a relationship, because someone might come forward and then they pull back because they get afraid. But then there's a moment of courage. They have this moment of courage, and they're so they overcome their fear for a short time, but then they get afraid again and they retreat. So they come and they go, and so they don't know how to stay or to make that decision. There's a fear there that's keep making them pull back instead of stay in that moment, or stay there and have the confidence to just face that and know they can work through it. That there's not the confidence in themselves that they can overcome the challenge, because of whatever that fear is. So they have to understand what that fear is and what's limiting them to overcome that, so that they no longer will keep having this battle of back and forth, or inconsistency, or lack of making a choice, or lack of making a decision. Because, at some point, something's going to win. Either the fear is going to win and you're not going to do it at all. You're just going to give up. And that's the fear talking. The fear makes us give up on things. Or we're going to have enough confidence and overcome that fear, and we're going to stay and have success and victory. Well, with the starting out, I really feel like there's a desire to really have a victory over something. There's this justice that you want for yourself. There's something you're really wanting for yourself, but are afraid to get it. Afraid of what that means. Either you're afraid to even take that leap at all because of, like I said, fear of failure, fear of success, or, there's a lack of confidence in yourself, that maybe there's a little bit of unworthiness of feeling like you don't deserve something. There's a lot of things that can trigger that. That's why I just bring up the topic, so that you can look at it for yourself and see maybe how, through some of these things that I'm discussing, you can say, oh yeah, that's me. And then through that awareness, try to understand that more so that you can overcome these challenges and fears and limiting beliefs that you might have within that are keeping you and holding you back from living your best life, living to your fullest potential. So that's where we're going to leave this reading. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for joining me. Especially these readings are a little bit long, so thank you so very, very much. Whether you came here because you saw the community post, or whether this just came up on your page and you were interested in it, whatever it brought you here, you're here for a reason. So just how do I want to say it? Just know that you're here for a reason. Something drew you here, and there's something in this message for you that was meant for you to hear at this time, even if it's one small thing. So thank you again. I wish you the best, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.